My horse's name is Colt. I trained with Colt.
Yeah.
So we got a really good opportunity to get to know one another. He's a stubborn four-legged animal.
Yeah, I've got the easy mode horse, and Denham's got the hard mode horse.
You definitely high-powered.
He wants to get after it.
He has issues. He's thinking about stuff.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Tanish Laverne Graham with BlackInAmerica.com. My special guest is Denham Richards. Look at this guy. He's on set right now for Yellowstone. We love him as Colt. How are you, Denham?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Super excited. It's a little bit louder than I usually would have, but like you said, I am on set shooting season 4. So it's kind of a different, I've never done an interview like this, so we'll see how it turns out.
Oh my God, I am definitely here for it. Let's just talk a little bit about, you being a part of such an amazing show. Kevin Costner, you guys are both from Orange County. Talk to me a little bit about, when you first learned that you were going to be a part of this, a black cowboy. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, I think, it's an awesome opportunity every time that you get to be a part of anything. But of course, like I've grown up watching Kevin Costner, and so getting an opportunity to work with him. And then of course, the first thing that we did talk about when we met each other was the fact he was like, "Hey, you're from Orange County." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Yeah, me too." And so we were able to talk about that and just kind of bond in that way. And he's such a, phenomenal leader, and he has so much experience, and so just being able to be a part of something that he is kind of the forefront of. I mean, I tell people all the time I've gained 20 years of acting experience just from being around him, and so it's just really been a tremendous blessing to be a part of such an amazing show.
You know what I love about learning all about your background, you're actually an equestrian.
Yeah, that I've done. I definitely have done some writing. I've been very fortunate, and I think before this, I was doing another film where I played a cowboy as well, but it was a period piece, and
wow.
so I
is that
had
the Chickasaw Rancher?
It is, yeah, Chickasaw Rancher, yeah. And so I was playing a cowboy, and there was a lot of writing involved, and then now being a part of this and going on, this is our 4th year, so this is 4 years of doing this. So really, it's been I definitely am far better than I was when I started 5 years ago, when I was just kind of like thought that I was good. Now this show is taking it to like a completely different level, because we're doing bison runs and wild horse runs and cutting cattle and all these amazing things. So it's just a whole different vibe, which is really awesome.
That's pretty fascinating. What type of advice would you give to like a novice? Let's just say, for example, if I had the opportunity to come on set, and hang out with you today. I'm not an equestrian by any stretch of the imagination at all. So how would you coach me through like, getting on a horse and just...
I think the biggest thing with horses is that you have to understand that they're like, they're very pure spirits. And so, anything that you bring to them is what they're going to take in. And so if you come in, you're kind of rigid and you're a little bit like, oh my gosh, I don't really know, they'll start freaking out, and so you have to come and just be calm. And you also just lead, and they're such, like I said, they're so calm, they're so beautiful. And so I think that if you just step on one, you kind of you're like, oh, this isn't that bad. I look at them almost like avatars. You kind of just sit in them, and they just kind of embrace all of your energy and your spirit. And then, you just look up and direct them where you need to go. And it is what it is. The rest is kind of history. Very, very easy. But I think it's just the animal's so big and they see them in such a different way, but it's not anything that you would ever think.
I love that. Well, we all know that you're an animal lover.
This is true. I definitely am. I have my fair share.
Your dog Chloe gave birth last year to 5 pups. You were on your way to set or something, right? And you're like, oh my God, I gotta help Chloe out. Chloe makes me a granddaddy.
Yeah, that was a hard day. I had a lot of puppies, and for a while in my house, I think I had like 8 animals. And that was a lot. Now I'm down to like 3. And so that's good. But I also did just get a German Shepherd. And so because I just got a German Shepherd, that's also taking a lot of my time as well. So wow. It's been a tremendous thing. So he is, my German Shepherd is, see, there's a horse coming by right now, as you can see.
Let me see.
Oh, here, well, wow. This is this one that's right here.
Wow, so
But
beautiful and so calm.
my oh yeah, they're hanging out. And so I think so. My German Shepherd is like 105 pounds, and so that's like an animal. That's like a little horse. It's like a mini horse. Very very different than my terriers that I had that were 25 pounds. So yeah, so I now have this big one with me, and so that's really cool. It's nice. It's nice to be up here in Montana and then have like a bigger companion with you, which I think is kind of needed, but it's very nice.
When did you guys return to shooting? When did you guys return to set?
Let's see. We got back. Well, I've been here for a month. We just started shooting in production last week.
Oh wow!
So,
how's it been with the new COVID-19?
So we come out here. Everybody, when we're on set, we're wearing masks in between takes and everything. But like, there's nobody around me right now, so I have my mask off. But we get tested 3 days a week. I actually, before this interview, I just had gotten tested. So we get tested Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we get tested all the time, which it feels like. And then we don't, we're not allowed to like go into restaurants or go into, if people want to go to bars or lounges, you can't go into any of those things. You can pretty much go into a grocery store and then go home, and so that's pretty much what it looks like. But everyone's just trying.
I'd love to hear about the safety precautions, because a lot of us in the industry, are definitely concerned about, okay, well, we want to get back to life, but what does that look like? What does Hollywood look like? And being on set look like? What does shooting look like in this environment? So being back definitely on set, like, you feeling like, how are you feeling though? Do you feel?
Oh, I mean, I feel great. I mean, I was probably like one of the outliers with the whole thing. Like, I was like, I feel like I'm going to be fine either way. Like, that was just always my mindset. So I didn't really come back and just with any fear. I was just like chilling. And then of course, like, they have, because of the protocols and everything, like I said, you're getting tested these 3 days a week, and we're kind of like in what they call like the Yellowstone bubble, which is, they try to do like, if there's they'll try to create barbecues and things like that are here on set with the cast and with the crew that are, in the bubble. And so it takes an adjustment, because, when you're here and you have downtime, you can't really like travel to another state or travel home or X, Y, and Z. So you really have to kind of create a new atmosphere for yourself, during this time, as they're trying to just kind of figure out what to do. And we're kind of one of the only shows at this massive size of a production that is back, so that's a blessing. It's a blessing for us.
I was going to say, count it all joy. Count it all joy.
Oh, I'm very thankful, because a lot of my friends, they're at home and they're not able to start production on their shows until next year, and then we don't know what those shows will look like when they go back. So, we're definitely in a really, really blessed spot. And then we shoot mostly outside, so that's also an added benefit, for everybody. Mm-hmm, that's a good thing.
Let's talk about Colby. What do you love most about Colby?
He's so calm. Like, he's just so chill. Like, he kind of just go with the flow, say, like, he's chilling. He's like, it's not that like, oh, I'm just happy to be here attitude, but it's just like nothing can bother him. It's like he's seen it all. And I think of Colby as very much like an old spirit, in that way, where it's like, we grew up, like, our ancestors, this is what we started doing. We were cowboys first, and we were farmers first, and we were agriculturists first. So we did all these other things. So there's nothing about anything that goes on a ranch that should ever be surprising or shocking, because this is what we grew up doing.
Right.
So you should never be like, oh, how do you do it? You're chilling, and it is what it is. And so it's very much, I try to take so much of our own history and kind of infuse them in different ways into the character. And I think that's what I love most about him, is just how nonchalant he almost is at times, very unbothered.
I love that. Right now, the country, the world over, is mourning the loss of, our brother Chadwick Boseman, which is, I'm still trying to process, and I'm still trying to reconcile that. When you think about the life of Chadwick Boseman, what is it about his life that inspires you most?
Well, I think with anybody that is an artist, I think part of it is greatness. Give me 1 second, sorry. Okay, can they come do it? They can do it here. Is it okay? We're gonna do a very thing. Can they come here and do it? Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, they're gonna wire me before we go in. So sorry, this interview is so different. But I think, for anybody that is doing the work that he does, he's like a chameleon. Every project that he was in, you lost himself in it. You know,
Yeah.
like when you saw him do it, you didn't see Chadwick, you saw Jackie Robinson. You didn't see Chad. And I think that's one of the greatest things about being an artist with somebody that's of his level and his caliber was, number one, he was always able to play up in age or down in age. Number one, which I think is phenomenal. And I haven't seen people really since like Kubo that was able to do something like that and so effortlessly. And then also, like I said, the chameleon aspect of him, he just so calm, you know, so calm in his acting, and you never saw him acting. And I think that, you know, as an artist and people that are in the industry, I think that you can watch a lot of his movies and they're like master classes. And I think that, you know, those are those types of things that every artist should be kind of hoping that they're able to accomplish at least once in their career. He was able to make most of his movies, you know, in that type of pocket, which I think is beautiful.
Wow. You know what, Denim? I don't know how much more time do we have on this.
I mean, I'll let you know. Like I can let you,
Okay.
whatever questions you have. They're just
because I'm like, I don't know. Okay, that was definitely
you're fine.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. You know, what I love about, you know, learning more about you was that you're a part of a few organizations that really help guide and advocate, you know, for young people. You have a nonprofit that you're a part of called Yes. You know, can we talk a little bit about Yes? I would love for the viewers to, you know,
absolutely.
Yes is.
So, you know, Yes, Youth Empowering Success. I've actually now, just within the last couple of months, I've now changed the name. It's now called Safe Stage. But it's the same thing. And I wanted something even more powerful than Youth Empowering Success. And I think Safe Stage really hits it. But with what we do is it's about, you know, so many of these kids, especially these minority communities, they don't have anybody that they feel is waiting on them to be successful. You know, they kind of grow up and they look at things on TV and they're like, okay, well, you know, is that my way out or is it sports? But then it's like, what happens if you're not a person that wants to be an actor? What happens if you don't want to be an athlete? Where does that leave you in this pocket of life? And so one of the things that I wanted to do was say, like, get to these young kids, get to these young kings and these queens and these princes and princesses and be like, hey, like, what is it that y'all want to do? What things do you see for yourself in your own life? And have them write and have them express. And so often we get into these communities and they don't know what they want to do, but they're afraid to say what they want to do with around their friends. And then all of a sudden you get them together and they're like, oh, I want to be a scientist. I want to be a mathematician. And so then what we do is we then embrace that. And then we partner with different people, companies and organizations to begin to help kind of garner them in that direction.
Wow.
One second, sorry.
Okay.
Protection stuff for the sound is over here.
Okay, I'm coming.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. I told you this is going to be a little bit different.
Okay. You got your jacket
You're
there.
good. No, you're good.
Okay. How can one be a part of this organization? Like, you know, how can someone sign up to be a part of this?
So right now within the next 3 weeks, we are going to be relaunching our website, which I'm really, really excited about. And really what this is going to be is we've also had to adjust because of COVID, right? Like, you know, there's so many of these things because of like our wanting for in-person opportunities to be able to get proximate with these kids. Because for me, that's what everything is about. Is about being able to is about being able to get proximate. And the hardest part about not being able to get proximate is like, then you're dealing with this kind of technology issue. And a lot of these kids, you know, they don't have the opportunity. Yeah. And so it's really, really hard to be able to kind of figure out that way. So we're really working with a lot of different organizations. Like, you know, we're going to be talking to like the Boys and Girls Clubs and things like that, places where they've already been able to, and hopefully that they have an opportunity where we can kind of begin to partner with them to also, like, you know, see, is there computers that they can use? Is there iPads? Like, because we need to be able to get with them because they're sitting at home, right? And they still don't have an opportunity, you know, and they're sitting at home, you know, so they still need people to know that there's people waiting on them even while they're sitting at home. And that just because we have these shutdowns that are going on doesn't mean that their emotional health should shut down with it.
Yeah. Now, what about RAIN? There's another one that you have called RAIN. That
Yes,
you're a part
man.
of.
It's a very, very big organization, you know, and it's something that's very, very important. And that's also what why I rebranded our nonprofit to call it Safe Stage, because a lot of it is dealing with children that have dealt with molestation, sexual abuse, child sex trafficking,
Yeah.
and the mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical toll that takes on these children. And so, you know, these are organizations that, you know, you getting these kids and, you know, again, talk about, you know, being completely neglected and then used. And that's something that people don't know, is that, you know, child sex trafficking and sex trafficking in general is the biggest business in the world. You know, because it's the only product that you can use over and over again. And it's a very, very sad and very disgusting thing. This has happened all over the place. And you're seeing from these kids from Haiti and from, you know, from kids here, where they get into these systems and then they just disappear. They're just gone because they have no family and they don't do anything with their birth certificates, nothing. And so we wanted to create an atmosphere and a place which we call Safe Stage, where they can come in and for every single stage of their life, they have somebody that's there with them, so that they understand. Because you have to understand that for the hardest thing with these things is that you'll go through certain issues, you know, spiritually, mentally, and you'll have an issue at 14 and then you think, oh, I'm over it. But then you'll have another setback at 15 or 16, and how it affects your relationship. So being able to have counselors and other people that are there to be able to help you at every stage of your life, I think is something that is really, really beneficial. And that's something that we need more of. Otherwise, they turn to the streets and they turn to drugs and to gangs and all these other things, not because that's what they want to do, but because they're looking for a sense of family. They're looking for a sense of familiarity.
You know, how did you, or why did you want to become a part of organizations that were pretty much centered, you know, around, you know, abuse, you know, coming from Orange County? You know, I read that you moved to South Central Los Angeles, to the jungle. You know, what a stark contrast. And so I wonder if your experience, you know, in South Central, living in the jungle, you know, prompted you to get involved with, you know, these organizations that basically cater to, you know, children who are disadvantaged.
Yeah, I saw mainly that, you know, up there, you know, from churches all the way up. You see these kids that have been neglected, these children that haven't had an opportunity. I've gone into homes there where, you know, they're through the foster care system, where you have families there that they use these kids just to get a foster care check, right? And so there'll be, these kids are just locked in their rooms and they're like in cages virtually, you know, just so that these foster, and they'll have 7, 8, 9 different kids.
It was to get a foster child.
I mean, it's very simple, you know.
What in the world?
And so, you know, one of the things, you can cut a hole in this pocket if you want to run it through there.
Thank you. Can we get a hole?
Yeah. So, you know, one of the biggest issues is that, you know, you would go, and so you're looking at these families and you're sitting there and going, you have 6, 7, 8 kids, and you have the children ranging from 17 years old all the way to 6 years old, but you don't know what these 17-year-old kids are thinking. You don't know what these 6-year-old, you have a 6-year-old girl and a 17, 16-year-old boy, and they've come from the streets. There has to be a thought process. There has to be a background check. You have to do things. And this is something that I've seen so often. And I was like, this is heartbreaking and devastating. And so it was like, any way that I can begin to be a part of that problem, or not be a part of that problem, be more of that solution, and just try to affect one person at a time. Because it's not about coming and try to bite off everything. It's just, you know, do my part. And then if I ever have the opportunity to have a platform, be able to have these types of conversations and spread that word, and hopefully more people also want to follow suit.
Denham, thank you. This was amazing. This was absolutely amazing. You know,
thank you for enduring with me.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Trust me, it's great for the optics, and it's nice for people to see in this climate that, you know, we're resilient and we're making our way back to work. We're making our way back, you know, to having our lives, you know, and so this is so important. You know, before I go, you know, one last question that I would like to ask you. You know, we're moving into November 2020, one of the biggest elections of our time, presidential elections of our time. You know, let's just talk about, you know, galvanizing people to get to the polls, and just the significance and the impact that, you know, this election has. on the state of our country?
Yeah, I think, you know, it feels, I think every generation they have their, you know, they have their moments where they feel like this is their time to really, you know, come in and kind of take advantage of a situation, right? Where you're like, you know, it's the power to the people and it's this, that, and the third. But I'll answer that question the best way that I can by saying that I think that one of the biggest things that we all have to be very, very aware of is that no matter who you decide that you go into and elect, the change is going to have to start within the community. And that we have seen throughout all of our generations that we can have this person or that person, this person, but oftentimes our communities are very much the same. And we need to have leaders within our own communities that are going to be going back, us building businesses within our communities, building banks, building financial institutions, building charter schools. We need to do that so that we're not feeling that every single time we're always relying on somebody else that doesn't look like us to be the person that's going to come in and save us. So you have to get to a point to where instead of looking at like, oh, this is our thing, because that's a nostalgia, right? That you can go in and do that. But at the end of the day, when November 4th, November 5th comes around, virtually your situation's still the same. So I think it's about our leaders being with us in our communities and be able to build ourselves first, that we never have to rely, and it's not going to matter who's elected because we'll do what we need to do anyways.
I don't have anything else to say. This is it. Build yourself first. There you go. Denham Richards, thank you so much for your time. You know,
Thank you.
I'm just so excited about your career. I mean, it's so amazing. And just to think the best is yet to come. You know?
Thank you. There's so much more. I appreciate that. And hopefully we'll be able to catch up again soon.
Oh, we definitely will. As soon as I get this all sorted out and edited, I'm going to send it over to your PR, and you know, we'll let you know when we run it on all our platforms.
Great. Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, Denham. Bye-bye, my love.
Sometimes I feel like disrespectful to even get on a horse with how good they are. You know, like I mean, I'm a decent rider, but I could spend the rest of my life and I wouldn't be half as good as these guys are. Just the pounding on their bodies. And I think that I'm sore after sitting for a shot for like 8 hours. I'm like, my back and my legs hurt and everything hurts. And it's like they're on circuits. Like, cause when they're not filming, you know, they're on a circuit.
When a cowboy needs extra money, he wins it.
What their bodies are capable of is pretty remarkable.
And like Forey has competed. When's it how?
Bronc riding, roping, bulldogging, cutting, all the shit we do every day. But you can barely do it as it is.